And we're on. Dan, how are we?
Much better. How are you?
I'm doing okay as well. So, as you guys can see, the subject of today's talk, as just first and foremost, Mondays are really always about just placing a filter out there and saying it's a great opportunity for accountability and to understand exactly what path we've been on, and if you need the group to be available, as well as Daniel and myself to, I suppose, to hold some space for you guys to move in a positive direction, or if you feel like you just need us to get the old glove out and give you a good slap in the face and move you in a different direction, we're also here for you. But Dan and I were talking off camera about sickness and moving through sickness. Daniel and I both had our own journeys over the last little while. You want to tell us a little bit about yours, mate?
Sure. I think for the first time in a few years, got struck down. I feel like it was a family cold and flu situation. So it actually occurred as Melbourne faced a short lockdown session for, I think it was maybe 5 days. So lockdown, locked up and unwell. And that continued on for a few days after the lockdown too. And as someone who loves to train daily, if not multiple times a day, and that can look in the fashion of going for a long walk too. It's not always vigorous exercise, but there is a lot of movement throughout my day. And just to take responsibility and take a moment and pause was very afflictive and quite challenging, but it felt like that's what really was needed. And every time I considered to go for it and try something, even if it was like a yoga session or a light walk, I really just took a moment and paused and thought, is this really going to serve me, or is this just going to serve my desire to move and maintain my consistency? And it was really powerful for that brief moment of relaxing and taking pause. I came to the conclusion that this isn't going to serve me. And I'm not often built to make decisions like that, because usually the desire gets the better of me, especially when it comes to training. But I could just feel that my body was craving rest. And I'm still learning to listen to my body. And this was a great opportunity to do that. And last night was the first time in just over a week where I had gone for a really nice, easy walk with my wife along the beach, which was totally perfect. And it felt like the introduction back into daily movement. And haven't done much today yet, but I'm excited for what's to come this afternoon and into the evening. But I felt really like happy that I listened and respected my body. And as I said, because I'm not always someone who does that, I feel like I've recovered better. I've rejuvenated, had good sleep, allowed the sickness to wash over me and also wash away, and starting to feel a lot better. And also my body just feels like it's been recharged. And I know that will continue on. And that seems to be the blessing of pausing, saying no, taking responsibility, and ultimately just looking after myself. What about you?
Well, firstly, I just want to comment on what you just said, and it's a very challenging thing. And I know that all of us listening to this, either now or the replay, you guys know whether you have had a history of being a seasoned athlete to a certain degree, or you've just stepped into this incredible just amusement park of chemicals that go off inside your body when you start to move from not training to training. It's an addictive process, and it really is. And we all know and understand it now as Hero Tribe members. And to go against your instinctive judgment, even though you're feeling weak, to go against always wanting to feel good, because that's what it does. It makes you feel good historically. It gives you a sense of kind of maturity as well in your training process to be able to do that. So good on you.
Thank you.
But for me personally, I had a slightly different kind of scenario to you. I was definitely hit with a virus at some stage, not COVID. At some stage, I was hit with a virus, and it hit me hard, but I didn't listen to my body. And as a result of that, I kind of just continued to work through things. And last week, I started to feel dryness in one eye and started to feel some paralysis on the left-hand side of my face, to a point where it started to get worse and worse and worse. Now, to look at me, I'm actually not that bad, but I was kind of ended up in the hospital, and they told me that I had Bell's palsy, which is a paralysis of it's basically paralysis of a facial nerve. Now, that's something that I, really struggled with initially when I saw the symptoms associated with it. But it is also an added level of difficulty and complication, because I don't necessarily feel sick. I'm just, it's something that just affects your facial nerve. And it comes as a result of stress associated with past viral conditions and all that kind of stuff. But I also know that I need to create balance in my life, but that's more of an intellectual reminder that I need to keep telling myself, because even though I'm feeling like I normally do, I also know that in order to nourish myself right now at this time, I need more of a restorative kind of practice. And that can also look like many different things. And it's about navigating it on a day-to-day basis, and understanding that maybe I am going to need to sweat a little bit today, but I'm also going to need to, have, a really, really long mobility session, or a yoga session, or just sit and soak in a bath with essential oils for, a period of time, and just chill out. But that's kind of where I'm at with my training right now, and both of our health situations. And I think, being able to navigate your situation along with us, your coaches, on a day-to-day basis is going to be a really, really great, productive measure. And I know so many of us are going through some health issues right now, just with sickness, lack of sleep, it's going around, and a lot of us are feeling it. And I think reach out to the community, reach out to your coaches, us, for any kind of assistance that you can have, because we're here for you always.
Thanks for sharing that. Hopefully things are starting to settle and resolve.
Yeah, they are. I'm getting as much help as I can from with it. So.
Yeah, well, I think just to speak to the importance of being able to say no, especially when it comes to training, which usually elicits a sense of greater well-being and sense of positivity in one's life. And to say no to that doesn't mean say no to great well-being and positivity. It just means that we're just shifting the focus onto what's going to serve us. And sometimes to say no is really the greatest way to essentially say yes to something else. And maybe that's to do something more restorative. Maybe that's to sleep. Maybe that's to chat with, your partner or kids, and just let them know how you're feeling and what's going to be helpful for you. There's so many gifts in saying no. It's just to start and just say it. And I know for myself, it is just such a challenge when the desires are so strong, and the sense of failure can come to light, especially when someone has been so consistent in their training. And there's many guys that we're working with who have just done like 70 days, 80 days, 90 days of just like continuous movement, continuous training. And then all of a sudden they get struck down with something and they feel like they've let themselves down because their streak has ceased or paused. But, that wasn't in our control. So it's what do we do in that circumstance? You know, we pause, we take the moment that's needed, give ourselves the time and space, and then start again. And then we just build a new streak. So like ending something just means that we get to start something else. And it's just such a powerful approach just to take a moment and rest in this sense of gentleness. And that's often a piece of advice and suggestion that we both offer to so many guys, because it's so easy to be hard on ourselves, to berate ourselves, to feel like, you know, we aren't good enough or we didn't do as much as we could do. But, you know, does that ever help us to be hard on ourselves? And also, funnily, to question is like, if we're hard on ourselves, are we hard on other people too? And just this kind of repetition of being tough and hard, what impact is that having? And then at the same time, looking at things when we shift the focus and when we're being gentle and we're enjoying a bit of self-compassion, naturally does that just, you know, elicit great compassion for everyone. And it's just amazing to just play with this sense of compassion, gentleness, rather than harshness and beratedness, and just see what impact that has. And then how do we nurture ourselves from there? What kind of self-care do we practice when we're feeling compassionate and gentle?
Absolutely. It's all about the long game, guys. And if you're finding that you're in a position where you're acutely knowing that something, you know, intently overexerting is not going to serve you at this point in time, it may feel like it's going to tick a box off in the short term, but you've got to think about the long term. You've got to think about it for yourself and for your family and for everyone around you. So I hope this helped. This is, I suppose, life lessons that Daniel and I are both moving through, as well as I know a number of you right now as well. Just there doesn't need to be guilt associated with restoration and recovery. There's always something you can do, and even if that's something you can do is just be.
Yeah, being is perfect. All right, thanks everyone so much for joining us, and yeah, hopefully this helps and supports. And if you've got any questions, just write in the comment section or reach out to either of us, especially if you're having a hard time saying no. We'll happily support you in that.
We've got a couple of eyes down at the Hero Tribe on the Facebook Live. So if anyone does have anything to offer or ask at this point in time when it comes to energy levels or dealing with any form of, you know, battling any form of sickness or anything like that, we're all ears and we're happy to answer any questions as well. If you guys have anything for us.
Let's just take a moment and see if there's anything that pops up.
Wait for Hero Tribe to catch up with Zoom.
I think we need some music now playing in the background.
Yeah, indeed.
Anything coming up for anyone?
If nothing's coming up for anyone, that's totally fine, guys. But once again, just to wrap things up, knowing that if you, in this point in time, if rest is where you're at, you'll always have tomorrow, you'll always have the next day to be able to do something that is going to express yourself in a more masculine sense.
Yeah, rest is best.
Love it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
See you soon.